Hey there, chess enjoyers! Today we will together continue to explore the exciting chess world, or to be more specific, a crazy and very important opening that you have to know. Some time ago I was asked down there in the comment section by whether I can make a brand new video about the King's Indian defense. Of course I can, and therefore I will show and explain in this video the King's Indian defense, its main line plus some sidelines, and of course also tell you a bit about the history of this very interesting and also pretty modern opening. So feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel and activate the announcement bell so you won't miss anything new on this YouTube channel. Thank you. So the King's Indian defense occurs after pawn d4 and knight f6, the Indian defense, followed by pawn c4 and pawn g6, that here also called the main move of the King's Indian defense. So this variation of the Indian defense is a very hyper-modern approach of the game, where black allows his opponent to take control here of the center of the chessboard with his pawns, with the intention to strike at it and to challenge him in the center of the chessboard afterwards and later into the game. So here the game continues now with knight c3 by black, now by white of course. Now black fianchettos his bishop like this on g7, white plays pawn e4, on which black answers with pawn d6. So this is basically the main setup of the King's Indian defense. And now we have to distinguish between the classical variation of the main line and other sidelines. Like for example the Samish variation after pawn f3, also the very brutal and aggressive 4 pawns attack after pawn f4. Now we can see in the center of the chessboard 4 pawns on the 4th rank of the chessboard, or also another sideline, like for example the Everbath variation after bishop e2, the short castling by black like this, and the development of white's second queen's bishop here from c1 to g5 like this. But in this video I would like to specify and to show and explain you better the classical variation of the main line of the King's Indian defense. The classical variation of the main line of the King's Indian defense occurs after knight f3, now the short castling by black, bishop to e2 from white, followed by pawn e5 by black like this. The main line of the King's Indian defense classical variation, also called the Mar de Plata variation, can be now played after at first the short castling by white like this, followed by knight c3, pawn d5 like this, and knight e7 escaping from the white's pawn's attack here on e7 like this. And now we have this very interesting setup. Typically, white will try in this position, and in general also in the main line of the classical variation of the King's Indian defense, to attack on the queen side of the chessboard by at first preparing here the pawn break from c4 to c5, and on the other side, the player plays the black chess pieces, will attack on the king side of the chessboard, so we are attacking on opposite sides of the chessboard, and here black often does this by transferring their knight from f6 here to d7. In this position here that you can see right now on the chessboard, white could also choose the interesting exchange variation, where we at first exchange pawns in the center of the chessboard like this, on which white even decides to exchange queens very aggressively, but also pretty quiet, like this, after 7 moves into the game, or after the queen exchange also 8. So by choosing this variation, so the exchange variation of the King's Indian defense, white decides to play for a small and safe advantage on the chessboard in the relatively quiet position, and here in the following middle game positions. Another interesting continuation variation after the classical variation of the King's Indian defense would be to play pawn d5, called the Petrosian Variation, named for the chess world champion Tigran Petrosian. His name you can see right now here. So in this variation, the ideas for both sides, so for white and also for black are pretty much the same as in the main line, in most of the cases of course. But before this video ends, I would like to quickly tell you a bit about the history of this very interesting development strategy, the King's Indian Defense, and also in general the Indian Defense. So the earliest known use of the term Indian Defense leads us back to 1884. Until the mid-30s of the last century, so of the 20th century, it was regarded as highly suspect. But the analysis and play of very strong Soviet chess players in the 20th century helped to make the defense way much more respected and popular in the whole chess world. In the early 2000s, the opening's popularity began to suffer a bit after Vladimir Kramnik began to play very good against it during his Chess World Championship against Kasparov. But still today, the Indian Defense and also the King's Indian Defense is played a lot by many famous and strong chess players, and it is a very solid chess opening and defense for black. So this was it in already with this video. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, leave a like and write down there in the comments about which other chess topics and chess themes you want to have a brand new video on this YouTube channel. Till next time, bye!